Hi folks, this is Ed Wisniowski. You know me from the blog Dirty Fingers and from the YouTube channel Ed Your Agile Coach. The reason I'm here today is because I want to put together a longer form video where we talk about the Microsoft Blazor technology. It's really exciting. And not only that, it's one of those technologies that could change enterprise software development. So we're going to talk about why we should use Blazor. We're going to show a couple examples of it. And then finally, I'm going to ask for some help because I could use some tips on how to troubleshoot the technology. Maybe together, we can be part of the change. Let's get started. There's one real important reason why we should be interested in the Blazor technology. And that's because it streamlines web and application development in your organization. First of all of your C# developers become full stack developers with very little retraining. Now you don't need different skills in order to do web application development or enterprise development. Those developers who can write C# can do client-facing websites with rich interaction without any JavaScript. And that gets me to the second point, and that is that Blazor helps eliminate technical debt from JavaScript libraries. There are Angular libraries, jQuery Mobile, and numerous other libraries that are out there, many of them incompatible with versioning issues. And that technical debt is hard to maintain. So with Blazor, you have one tool which has interactivity that doesn't require Angular or any other tool. And finally, what we need to do is we need to admit that we have a lot of legacy applications in our organizations, and Blazor works wonderfully with MVC applications and builds on the strengths of the .NET Core environment. This is why Blazor is the next new thing, and Microsoft is throwing a lot of time, energy, and money in order to get it to work. All right, now that we've talked about Blazor, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's actually run a Blazor application and see what it does. Now, what I'm doing is I'm using Visual Studio, and I have downloaded a basic Blazor application and template. And we're going to run it. And then what it's going to do is it's going to open up a version of my browser in debug mode, and it's going to come up, and it looks like a pretty simple application. Here's one that any Angular developer or any software developer can do. Here's a counter. You press the button, it increments the counter by 1. That's all it does. Now, in Microsoft MVC, every time you click that button, there is a server and a response action. It goes to the server, it increments the item, and then it sends a post back of the page to the browser. With Blazor, all of this is taking place in the browser via either Signal R or something called WebAssembly. So now there's no postbacks. It's faster, it's better, and it's much more interactive. In fact, you can do some pretty cool things like a to-do list. So I can add an item to a to-do list, do this, and then it creates a checklist for me. Do that. Something else. And then I can have additional interactivity so that I can move items around, I can make changes, I can even make edits. That's very powerful. And I didn't have to learn a lick of JavaScript in order to do it. It's just built into Blazor. However, there are a few problems. and I want to go over those right now. One of the first problems that you're going to notice right away is that it's having some trouble with routes. If I click the to-do list, it gets locked up in some way. It goes to the page, but it doesn't render the page. And I thought about this long and hard, and so what I did is I decided to see what was going on behind the scenes. So I decided to look at what's going on in the console. And this is very interesting. If you take a look here, it can't connect via a port to the route. But if I refresh, it does connect to the port via the route. Do the same thing here. It's locked. There's a disconnected port. It tries to reconnect. It tries to initialize, and nothing happens. This is all taking place in the debug mode of a Blazor application in Visual Studio on a Chrome browser. I am sure that there is an explanation for this, but I don't know what it is, and I could use some help from the Blazor community. So there you have it, folks. A Blazor application working on a simple desktop using a Chrome browser. And there are some problems with troubleshooting and breaking. And I know that it's probably a setting in Visual Studio or some kind of security setup on my machine. So I'm appealing to everybody on the web. Can you get in touch with me and help me out with this?